Welcome to our Tech Talk episode 13. Tilina is here today as well. Tilina, what's happening with the news?
Kalinga, SpaceX is going to send lot of satellites to the space. Actually, they are trying to send more than 4,000 satellites.
There's more than what's on the...
Yeah, right now I think there's only like 1,500 active satellites and around 2,000 satellites which are not working. So this is a huge plan, Kalinga. They're just asking permission for this from the government.
Yeah.
So the plan is to send around 1,000 satellites in the first stage and see how it goes.
So basically this is like the Google Loon in a way. They're trying to provide internet from space.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka got Google Loon as well. We tested it out.
I don't think it turned out good.
No, I mean actually I don't see anything wrong with it, to be honest, because unless you test something out you wouldn't know whether it's a possibility or not. And again, then you find what are the barriers are, what challenges you have to face, and then overcome that. So when a lot of people think about Google Loon, the SpaceX satellite, when they're trying to give out internet, what they are trying to achieve is give this connectivity to rural places in the world where there's no much of an access.
Yeah.
And it's not like you can switch on your phone, switch on your Wi-Fi and get signals out of it.
You need specialized equipment, right?
So you need specialized equipment as well. Even with Google Loon, it's the same scenario, because even though these things are there, you need to have antennas on the ground, it need to be connected, so that's how it normally goes. So you have to be really careful when you're thinking about technological things. You always think, hey, we're going to get Wi-Fi everywhere, so it will be free. It's not going to be a free service as well, because businesses need to be feasible.
Yeah. For send 4,000 satellites to the space, it's a huge task, right? So many launches are needed for this.
Yeah. And what's the success rate in sending a rocket up? It's
almost 100% for SpaceX. Expect the
they only had one failure.
Yeah,
right?
The one before last one they have failed it, but I think they have sorted it out now.
Yeah. So basically, a lot of people think like satellites has fast internet. That's one of the misdemeanors that people think. No, satellites are the worst when it comes to internet connectivity, because radio links are prone to, if you have a satellite TV connection, you know what's happening when it's about to rain, right?
Yeah.
You don't get your TV channel. Similarly, it will happen with the internet connections as well. It's weather dependent. It's depends on what the solar flares are.
Yeah. On the first stage, Kalinga, they are trying to do 75% of the day coverage. So that's the aiming.
So it's not going to be full day as well.
Yeah.
So these are services that are gonna support people who are traveling, let's say on a ship, you're on a rural place, if you're climbing a mountain,
you might have on Antarctica or on an expedition.
Yeah, this communication will really help, because how much of the world we have already covered, right? It's a really small amount. And current internet satellites that do exist and services that do exist are really slow, especially the uplink. So you can download data faster to a certain extent, but your uplink is really, really slow because you need specialized equipment. They cost a lot. So I think in a way what SpaceX is trying to do is make it somewhat affordable when you have a lot of satellites, because...
So if they can go to a lot of users, if lot of users are using it, Kalinga, for a cheap price, I think they can cover the costs.
Again, if there's a lot of people using it, what happens is they run out of bandwidth. So same as a mobile phone, same as a TV channels, you're always limited by the spectrums you have. And it's not going to be on the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 gigahertz bands. Yeah. So that's what we normally use for Wi-Fi at home. So they're going to do it on Q band,
Q and K
band. Yeah. So they are high frequency band, they need a lot of line of sight. But the bandwidth will be higher than, standard Wi-Fi as well. But again, they are limited by the number of channels they have, number of satellites they have, and what actually feed in those satellites. So don't keep your hopes up about, don't disconnect your internet connection still, keep it.
Anyway, this will take a lot of time, I think.
Yes, same as the Google Loon. Now there's somewhat of a funny story as well. A lot of people will see it as a funny story, but it's actually a smart move by Microsoft. I think we spoke about few episode back moving away from paid softwares like Microsoft Windows, how you can move away rather than pirating. So if you can't afford Windows or some other softwares, what we said was don't pirate, don't steal things. You can always get alternatives, free open source things. So Linux Foundation is the one actually now controls the Linux kernel, which Linus Torvalds is working for. So it's a organization that help to raise funding, keep the Linux kernel going, promote Linux. There are a lot of companies who fund this organization like Google, Cisco. So you can get a premium membership where you pay around $500,000.
Yeah.
So Microsoft joined this, and I think Tilner raised another question saying they put a board member there.
Yeah.
I think with the cloud infrastructure coming in, if you know what a cloud infrastructure is, basically cloud has already been there. I mean, like this cloud is like a name that people use to distinguish the internet. So cloud services are where you have certain services on the internet. So keep in mind when you say cloud, it's always someone else's computer.
Yeah.
So because your data has to be somewhere, so it's not like in a virtual space. It's there on physical hardware, but again, cloud is basically where you virtualize certain things. So Microsoft is really going with this because they want.
Calling Microsoft in the recent operating system, they brought the Linux shell into their system, right?
Yes.
So right now in the world, like everyone wants to get into coding.
Yes.
So having Linux shell is a must now.
Yeah,
with all the JavaScript libraries and with all the compiling are doing right now.
Yeah.
So having Linux shell is a must. So most of the developers tend to like move to Apple computers, Mac computers because they have their terminal already.
Yeah.
But now since Microsoft have it on their systems, I think it's a really good move by Microsoft.
Yeah. If you had a computer in the 80s, you know what the DOS prompt is. You type everything you want to do, you type the command. So that's what Linux shell is as basically. So if you used to work in a bank, it basically is 400 thumb computer, you always type it in the command line, right? So that's what Linux is. So Linux is now in a way dominating in terms of the server market. So a lot of servers are running on Linux. So Microsoft limiting themselves to Windows is somewhat of a giving it away, right? They are losing business. So this is a smart move they made. Now they're releasing the SQL Server into Linux, and their cloud, which is the Azure, it's already support Linux container. So you basically can have a Linux server on their cloud. So they made a smart move in terms of now Visual Studio is available for Mac.
Yeah.
So if Visual Studio is a tool that people use to develop software, it was only exclusively available for Windows. So they realized there's another marketplace which they haven't tapped into. So they realized this is the way to go because Linux in a way, even though in a desktop environment it might not work as well. I mean, like, it's not user friendly. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. It works. But when it comes to server environment, a lot of people are really comfortable about it, and we use it on daily basis. I mean, Thilina and I, Thilina does development on Linux, right?
Yeah.
So I think in this sense they made a smart move. I mean, what for Microsoft, how much $5,000,
It's nothing for them.
$500,000 is for Microsoft is like nothing. So let's take a small break. When we join after the break, we are meeting Michael Monasinghe. So see you after this break.